Hello everyone, we're back to continue with the dress, off the shoulder cone dress that we started. We had to break as we was going through, so I'm just going to go back through where we left off. So I hope you will be able to follow through. So this is a dress that we were doing, and we started with the front of the dress, which is here, and that's the front of the dress here, and we did the center front section of it, and we started on the side. So I'm just going to pick up from the side where we were doing. So what we did was we had our draft. If you can remember, we always arrive at our pattern from the draft, and we've done this section here. We copied around the block, we extended it to the length of the dress, etc. We've drawn on the style line, and we created the pattern piece for the center front. And now we're going to do the side. We're going to remember that we don't want that side dart in there. So what we do is trace off this section, which I've got here. I've got it all traced off here. That's the pattern piece, and as you can see, we've got the dart in there, but I need to get rid of that dart because we've already established the center front piece of our pattern there. So what we're going to do is now we've traced that off, and we've marked it out, cut it out. We're now going to get rid of the dart. And so what we do, we're going to fold on that line, one of the line of the darts like that, and we're going to bring it over to the other line like that. And that is closing it out, and we place it on a new sheet of paper, which we've got here. We've got the grain line on already. Now the dart is closed out, and the dart is now transferred into that seam line here. So what we're going to do is to trace off that pattern piece, which is going to be the side front of our pattern. So we're going to trace that off all the way along like that, with the dart folded out up to the side there, around the armhole and across the neckline. This is the neckline here. We're going to put our balance line in, and we're going to put some balance line in there along the side, and we're going to mark off the bottom like this all the way up. We're going to follow that shape up there and round. Our dart is closed off, and we're going to transfer our balance grain line onto the new sheet of pattern piece that we're doing. So once we've done that, we're going to draw the line on. We can remove that piece now because we're not going to be using that piece, and we're going to draw the grain line on first, and then we straighten up the lines. So if I draw my grain line on, indicate that is my grain line, then I'm going to straighten up this bottom here so you can still see the dress. I have posted the sketch of the dress that we're doing on our group, so I hope you'll be following, and I'd like you to try this style out for yourself. You know, make sure you use your block to arrive at it, and let me know how you're getting on. It will be really interesting to see how you get on. So that is the side, and once you've got that side bits, all you have to do now is to add your seam allowance. So on here we only want a quarter of an inch rather along the neck, and then on the other parts we're going to add a centimeter. So down the side we add a centimeter around there, follow the curve of the hip around into the waist. Just follow the line round. So we get our seam allowance in, and you just follow the centimeter all the way up the side and round the armhole, 1/2 inch, because that's all we need to put the sleeves in. You don't need more than that. So you just do a nice curve with your curve. If you're able to curve it by yourself, you curve it. You need it on the hemline, the centimeter. So you put that on there and you take it up the seam here. So you know, I hope you'll be following through. As I said, I'll have to be doing this pattern in different stages because it will be a long video, and it's not going to allow me to do a long video, so we have to do it in stages. So I'll stop and break and then come back to it. So this is what is called the side front, and then all you do is just shape that, follow that through with a nice curve round your bust shape. So we're going to put a balance mark there to help us along, and we've got one for the waist, and we're going to put one halfway between the waist and the hemline. So so it'll be the same thing. So you can see here, I've just laid that one up. That is your center front dress, and this seam, I'll just show you how it goes. It's going to be stitched onto here. So we got to have the balance mark there, which we've got one, and we're going to have it on the waist seam here, which is the waist along there. It's our waistline. So we put that mark in, and we're going to have one on the actual there, you know, between the waist and the hem. So these are the balance mark that we're going to put in there. So we've got them, we just mark them through on here so that we see them clearly on there. So we see them clearly, and we've got one on here, on there clearly. So it's that one, and that one. So basically they're matching up. They're lining up when we come to draw it. And you can see the bust start that we had on the side seam is now in there. And we've still got our waist dart, which we've got in there. So we've got a nice shape over the bust and down the waist. So but those are the pieces that we need for the front. So once we get those pieces, we then cut them out, and then we can carry on. So I'm just going to write on here, side, front, and we're going to cut 2 of those as per usual because we need 2. So once we've got that, we cut out the shape, and now we've got the fronts ready. And the next thing we're going to be doing is the flounce, or the frill, you'd call it, for the hem of the dress. So if we cut those shape out, as I'm doing, you cut them out. Make sure you allowed your seam allowance, because if you haven't got seam allowance on the block, it'll probably be easier for you when you do your blocks, you put seam allowance so that you know that you've got it on, and you don't have to keep adding it every time. But because my block hasn't got it, I have to remember to put my seam allowance around each pattern piece that I do, because it's got no seam allowance. And you need the seam allowance to allow you to stitch your garment together. So now that we've got the fronts all ready, they're like that. I just place them on here so that you can see them. That's your center front, and that's the side front. So we need 2 of this, one for that side and one for another side here. We need 2 of these center front, one for there and one for over here, because we're going to have a seam down there. So there we go. That's the front all done. So once we've done those, we're going to be going on to the frill, or the flounce of the dress. And I'm going to do that as a half circle. So I'm going to come back to that and show you how that is done. We're going to break there, and I'll come back to you. Bye.